Hey guys, and welcome back to Literally Heinous. And today we have our very first guest, my first interview subject, my mother, Sarah. Hi, Mom.
Hey, Lily. I'm happy to be here with you.
Thank you so much. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and how we know each other?
Okay, well, we know each other. We go back way
Yeah,
back.
like a long time.
Yeah, I think like 25 years.
Yeah, it's got to be 25 years. Crazy.
And I remember the first time I met you.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You were blacked out.
Of course.
Maybe that's why we're having this conversation. For the past many years, I've been on a personal growth and self-awareness spiritual journey. And I have come to know many things through life coaching, my yoga teacher certification, and I'm also a Reiki master. And I practice that energy work intuitively and empathically. And most recently, I have turned all of this into a business, which I am going to launch today, hopefully, called Soul Stretch Retreats. And what we do is we give people time and space to come and relax, reset, refocus, and re-become who you are before the world told you who you should be.
Yeah, that's amazing. We'll get into that a little bit later and you can tell everyone more details, but be sure to check out my mom's pages. I'll be sure to link them in the assets for this episode. So in my first episode, I talked a little bit about my dry month. I did a dry half of September and a dry half of October. And a lot of people responded and really resonated with that. So I thought, who better to talk about sobriety journey with it? My mom. So why don't you talk a little bit in like the least incriminating details about your sobriety journey and how you got to where you are?
Well, first of all, I'm really glad that you gave me a heads up on that because I have to rack my brain to figure out the least incriminating. But what really started this journey is, I was in high school. I had my first drink at 14. And I loved the way it felt. I resonated with Matthew Perry when he said that, the way it felt. I remember that feeling. I remember it vividly, like we're sitting here. And it just became a habit, and I ran with a pretty fast crowd in Buckhead, and we just we didn't have the awareness that you all have today around drinking and sober curious. None of those terms, alcohol free, none of that was around. So we kind of, kept our partying ways going. Mm-hmm. And, we ran around Buckhead and painted the town a lot. And it got to where alcohol really started affecting me on all levels, mentally, physically, emotionally, and I didn't even know at that point, but spiritually. And the hangovers became worse, and the anxiety that goes along with that, and I just put on a ton of weight, couldn't metabolize it, and I just got sick of feeling like shit all the time.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Buckhead is sort of like the Beverly Hills of Atlanta, I guess I'd say. So it's like a smaller city within Atlanta that's a lot of bars, big going out scene, a lot of celebrities live there. So I know when you were in your 20s, you were kind of like a Paris Hilton of Atlanta, mm-hmm. but in a good way. So when did you start having that like realization that alcohol is just not working?
I would probably say in my mid-30s, it started to be where we would go on, trips or vacations, and those can be kind of lawless with the drinking. And I would come back and need a vacation from my vacation. It would take me, and then the older I got, the longer it took me to recover. Yeah. And, I would from time to time, when the internet was just being born, Google, do I have a drinking problem, or what is a drinking problem? Yeah. And I started to become aware of it then, but I didn't talk about it mm-hmm. because there's so much shame around it. And one of the things that I love most about what's going on now is that you all will talk about it. And in my honest and humble opinion, it's really, if you have a real drinking problem, you're going to not want to talk about it because there's so much guilt and shame associated with it. And so I feel like if you are willing to open up and you are willing to have conversations around it, then maybe you don't have a drinking problem, or you do, but just becoming aware of it to take some of that stigma away, I think.
I agree with that. And I think that like drinking problem, like for so long, it's ingrained in our heads that like you have a drinking problem, you're like robbing liquor stores, like drinking your own throw up, like crazy shit. Like you need to go to AA, but like it's all kind of a spectrum. And like, at least in my opinion. So can you talk about like, so I think people have a hard time admitting that they either want to quit alcohol or they just want to like revisit their relationship with it because it makes other people think that they have a problem. Mm-hmm. So can you like talk a little bit about that, or like is that true?
Yes, I could talk about that. And I did want to say that your previous episode, which was your first episode, when you said something about our family and everybody's in AA, that made me laugh out loud. Because in my family, when you had a drinking problem, that's what you did. Mm-hmm. You went to AA and you labeled yourself an alcoholic. And I have come to find out through my time in the seats in AA that I could never say I'm an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I didn't want to label myself negatively. And I really and truly, after I spent enough time there, came to find out that my drinking was really to cover up a lot of pain from a lot of childhood wounding. And that doesn't make you an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. And so to your point, and can you remind me again what your exact question was?
Yeah, I guess, like what would you say to people who are too scared to talk about, you know, I don't want to say alcohol problem, but to talk about like their concerns around drinking because it might make other people think they're an alcoholic.
Right. The first thing that comes to my mind is that's a them problem, not a you problem, right? So you have to do what is right and resonates for you. And a lot of problem around that with your age, and I still do it too, so please don't think I'm separating us, is what other people think.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you, as 27 years your senior, that the sooner you let go of that mindset, the more free you will become.
Yeah.
And that takes practice. It takes really a mindful practice of being aware, self-aware, and becoming confident in who you are and not letting what other people think influence you, especially when it's something so deeply and important as, am I teetering on the edge of a problem, a substance abuse issue?
Yeah.
And I would say finding people that you trust to talk to, and I'm so honored that you chose me to talk to about it, and finding somebody that won't shame you, somebody that will look at you and go, I have been there, and you're going to be okay, and here's what worked for me.
Yeah.
And back to your point, you know, what do you do about other people? You're just going to have to let go of other people's opinions of you, because everybody has an opinion, everybody. And if you ping pong back and forth between who's thinking what, you're just going to create chaos in your mind on top of worrying about, do I have an issue?
Yeah. And I also want to reiterate that like alcohol is just such a spectrum. Like you can say substance abuse, you can say substance use, like, but also there's some people, and this is how I was when I was in college, I just felt that we were consistently binge drinking every single night of the weekend. And I was never like dependent on alcohol. Like I would be fine if I didn't have it, but it's just like all my friends were doing it. So there's a lot of people that just like the circles that they run in, it is the only thing to do. And for me, I got really bad anxiety. Like I would wake up on Sundays and just be unable to function. So I think that's really hard to deal with when you're in your 20s, when there's so much of an alcohol culture. So what do you say to people that just feel like their only friends are the friends that they drink with, and like how do they navigate that?
Again, I'm going to circle everything back to self-awareness and being aware. And so when you become aware of that, okay, everybody's drinking, I'm binge drinking, how do I get out of this? Sometimes it really is, you're just going to have to change your playmates and your playground.
Yeah.
And if your friends are true and good friends, and you say to them, look, I'm kind of like curious around my drinking a little bit, and I think I'm going to take a break, or, you know, take a look at this, then those friends are going to support you. If your friends are overly concerned that you're not drinking and how it affects them, I say run, don't walk. And I know it's easier to say, and I've had, a lot of more experience that I can tell you everything is going to work out, and I know that it is, but it's hard to see that when you're your age and everybody's doing it and you are actually in the picture. You can't see outside of that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree with that. We had some people write in for some mom talk advice. So I'm going to ask you some of the questions that people asked.
Okay.
Someone wrote in, I just stopped drinking indefinitely until it feels right and safe again. Drinking culture makes it so easy to form a habit, and I want to be intentional about when I'm drinking, especially given my family history of addiction. How do I get over not feeling like a wet blanket when I go on dates or meeting new people?
So there's a lot of things I love in that question. The habit and the word intentional and ingrained in my family. Those are all things that I can completely 100% relate to. And I found too that when my drinking would become an issue, it really was because I had let it become a habit. And when you have a habit like that, especially one that has like a lower vibration to it, you kind of go on autopilot. Like sometimes, I'm pouring that third glass of champagne and I'm not even aware of it. It's the habit, just the keeping on going. So I would say, you're so on track with recognizing that it's a habit, and the fact that you would like to be intentional around it is going to set you up for success. And as far as being a wet blanket, again, it goes back to if you're with somebody and you're not drinking and they think that you're a wet blanket, I think that's a them problem again.
Yeah.
And, you probably don't want to really spend a whole lot of time with somebody that thinks you're a wet blanket because you don't drink.
Yeah. I think for me, either like you as the non-drinker have to be okay with being in situations that people are drinking and being the sober one in the room and being the DD or being the sober person at the bar. You have to like be okay with it and not mind it. Or you need to date someone that doesn't drink with you. Or I don't know, because I mean, for me personally, like when I do my dry months, I don't want to be at a bar. Yeah. I would rather just like not be at a bar. I'll go to a house party, but like a bar when it's like midnight and the only thing people are doing is like going back and forth from the bar, I'm just like, I'm not having fun here.
Right. And one more thing I'd love to say about that too, if you could find a suitable substitute, for example, I drink ginger beer now. It's non-alcoholic. I love the way it tastes, and I have a mocktail every night. And when we go out to a restaurant ordering a ginger beer, usually they'll put it in a nice glass, with the pretty ice and all the fixings, and then I feel like I'm a part of it with everybody else.
Yeah.
And if you boil it down, alcohol's just a liquid.
Yeah.
And that is a really powerful mantra. If you want to be intentional around your drinking, it's just a liquid, and then that kind of leads into why am I needing a liquid that alters my state of consciousness?
Yeah. Okay. I need to like dive into like a few more things. Can you talk a little bit more about how alcohol is just a liquid? What does that mean? And then also, can you talk about vibrations? Because you mentioned that alcohol lowers your vibration. Like, what does that mean?
Okay, so the sooner that you accept that everything is energy and energy is everything, and that's not woo, it's quantum physics, and I don't have all the words to explain it concisely, and you can go do your own research, but we're all energy, and energy puts out a frequency, a vibration. And everything has a vibration. And I tried to look it up before we spoke so I would have the exact vibration, and I couldn't find what I'm looking for. So maybe we could put a link to it when I do find it.
I'll put it on the Instagram.
Yes.
That's what that's for.
Okay. So of the vibration, you want to go, if you want to live a happy and free and liberated life, you're going to want your vibration to be as high as possible. So you're going to want to do high vibration things that bring you joy and happiness.
Yeah.
Alcohol is a low vibrating substance, and it lowers your vibration automatically. So it matters how much you drink, but One drink alone will lower your vibration because it affects your sleep. And when your sleep is affected, I'm a firm believer with the Dalai Lama that sleep is the highest form of meditation.
Yeah.
And when you aren't getting solid and sound sleep, everything is skewed.
Yeah. Yeah, I resonate with that a lot because I think like when I was kind of talking to my friends and opening up to my friends, I was like, I can't like binge streak every weekend of every year for the rest of my life. Like what? And people say like, oh, why don't you just go out and have one drink? Just go out and have two. And I'm like, but it's not like the same to me. Like for me, I would rather not drink at all than just to have like one drink and go out. And it's like multi-pronged because if I'm going to spend the money, I'm going to consume the calories, I might as well get drunk and have a good time. Sue me. And B, exactly what you just said, like one drink is going to fuck with my sleep. It's going to just like mess with everything. So I'm just like, you know what? Why not just be sober for a night and just put that little feather in my cap and just say, cool, I was sober this weekend.
So I felt like I was giving alcohol itself a lot of power over my life. You know, when I was habitually drinking to the point where I felt like it was a problem, I thought a lot about drinking or not drinking, or if I was going to go somewhere, I would need to lift, or I'd need, you know, a few days to recover. I mean, it was just so much power and energy that I was giving to a liquid.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, would think to myself, gosh, would I sit here and drink 4 or 5 or 12 Cokes or ginger ales or glasses of water in a row? No.
Yeah.
And alcohol is a liquid that alters your consciousness. And bottom line, it's still a liquid, but why am I giving something, like, why do I need my consciousness altered so? That was a big question that came up for me. Like, why do I need to feel a different way?
I don't want to be overly prescriptive because I'm not a professional and say like, oh, if you drink because of this, then you have a problem. But if you drink because of that, then you're okay. But like, to what extent do you think certain reasons denote alcoholism or a problem with alcohol?
So first of all, I feel like if you're, you know, your drinking is fun and you're enjoying it and you're not feeling too much wreckage after it, then, you know, you're probably in the safe zone with it. I think you teeter on the issue, problem, abuse spectrum when the drinking is fucking with your head, really. Like when the hangovers are debilitating, when the anxiety around your drinking or the guilt, for me it was the guilt and the shame and the remorse, and it just messed with my head so badly. And to be honest with you, drinking was fun for me until it wasn't. And then when it wasn't and I was still drinking, that's when I was like, I need to look at this.
Yeah. So I think like for me, I like definitely dealt with anxiety. Like that's the worst. And like I still do. And it's so crazy. Even after like 2 drinks, I'll wake up the next morning and be like, did I say anything bad? Did I say anything embarrassing? But it's still like, I still enjoy going out. Like I still love to go out, but I also really like the tea breaks too, which is why I do the like 1 month on, 1 month off. So we did get one question from one of our listeners. How can I gently tell a friend that they may have a drinking problem? Like, when do you intervene? Is it your business? Like, what do you do?
Whew, that's a loaded question, and I get to use one of my favorite terms, and that is where you are going to decide, am I going to have a courageous conversation with this person? And is it your business? It's your business if the person is, I think, is close to you. If it's an acquaintance, somebody you see occasionally, I think you mind your own business.
Yeah.
But if it's a friend and somebody that you hold near and dear and you are legit concerned for their health, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and it's something that you've started ruminating on, I think it's absolutely appropriate to have that courageous conversation. How do you do that? Well, the way that I do it is I have to connect in with either God, universe, spirit, source, higher power, whatever you want to call it. There is a power, an energetic quantum force bigger than all of us that arranges everything, and it conspires for our success. The only thing the universe wants more of is the creation of more. Right? So I connect in with that source, and that's a whole other episode, or you can come to the website and check it out. But I connect in with that source to make sure that I'm coming from a place of integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And I really state the intention. I'm going to pull up a name, Michelle. I'm really worried about my buddy Michelle. And I need to have this I feel like I need to let her know because I care about her. God, universe, spirit, source, will you please fill me with the words that you want me to say so that she can know that she's loved by me, that I see her, that I hear her, and I'm concerned about her.
Yeah.
And then I rehearse those conversations in my mind out loud. You hear me out loud all the time. I will also journal around it, and I'll do a little bit of meditation. And I'll get my thoughts together. I bullet point. Mm-hmm. There's like 3 things I really want to tell Michelle. And I know I need to hit those 3 points. Everything else is either gravy or superfluous.
Yeah.
And then you either schedule a time, or what I almost always do after I've connected in with that higher frequency, I usually end it with, please let me know and show me when the right and perfect time for this conversation is. And then I step away from it.
Yeah.
And 99.9% of the time, the most beautiful opportunity opens up.
Yeah.
And it usually is a very natural and loving conversation. And how Michelle receives that is Michelle's business.
Yeah.
And you have to go into those kind of conversations going, this could blow everything up, and Michelle and I might not ever be friends again, but at least I'll know that I voiced my concerns. So if something ever happens to her, I don't have that on my hands.
Yeah.
Or Michelle can really receive that information and maybe get the help or get on the path that she needs to get to help herself out.
Yeah. That's all really good advice. Yeah, I think just coming from a place of like your best possible intentions, mm-hmm. and I like whoever's writing in, like I know that you have the best of intentions, and just being as relatable as possible mm-hmm. too. Like maybe finding a way to just say like, I've been there. Mm-hmm. I totally get it. I don't know if like this person, like if you're in school with them or not, but just like, I want to do all that too. Like, let's try and do this together.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I'd love to say too, and I hammer this home all the time, is integrity is your highest currency. And as long as you come from a place of integrity and love, it will work out. Mm-hmm. And that's where you have to check yourself before you have those conversations.
Right. Next question. There's a ton of alcoholism around me in law school. What are some effective, sober ways to de-stress?
Well, I have a daily practice that I swear by. I'm not perfect at it, but for de-stressing, I have 4 components for my daily practice, and it's journaling for however long, 5 minutes, 5 hours, doesn't matter. Movement, you can go and do a CrossFit class. You can do a 7-minute gentle spinal opener yoga sequence. I do breath work. And I do meditation. Those might not light you up, and you might have to find your own things, but what I'm trying to say is you have to find something daily to connect with yourself and to be present in your own body and to be aware of your space in time and reality. And that being present immediately calms your central nervous system. Practiced over time, the cumulative benefits are you will be more happy, more joyous, more free, less stressed. And you'll be able to really kind of stand in the fires of life without getting burned mm-hmm. because you're strong on the inside. But that's, all of the practices I mentioned, the journaling, the breathwork, the meditation, the movement, all of them across the board, hundreds of thousands of studies to prove that they calm your central nervous system and give you peace of mind. But a lot of people want to do it one time or 5 minutes or for a week. It doesn't work. It is daily commitment, consistency, and repetition.
Yeah.
You've got to find something that works for you.
Yeah. I definitely take like a less better approach, I think, or it's just like better for me. So when I am in my sober months, like the weekends are the hardest part because like the weekdays, fine. Like I work, I go to the gym, I cook, I watch a show. Like that's good enough for me on the weekdays. When like Friday night, Saturday night rolls around and like normally I'd be getting ready to like go out. What I find that helps me is like picking things like the week before that I'm going to do this weekend that I'm genuinely looking forward to that I don't need to drink at. So one thing for me, like I loved going to comedy shows. So when I do a sober month, I'll like look up an improv show, a stand-up show near me, go to that. I don't need to drink at that. So then it's still like something that I look forward to and something I'm excited about and something that I wouldn't normally do. Because usually on the weekends, I'm like going out, going to a football game, going to a concert. Like I'm not going to go to like an improv show or a comedy show. I find that when I'm doing the sober months and it's the weekend and like I already want to be going out, like I don't even want to like be staying in, like I'm not gonna like punish myself even more by like doing yoga or like meditating or doing something that like I don't even like doing as it is, because then I'm just like doubling down and like who am I trying to impress, like Kit Keenan? Like no, I would rather like if I'm gonna stay in and be a good person, like I'm going to do a Twilight movie marathon, Hunger Games marathon, order my favorite takeout, like that's good enough. Like for me, like I think like I stayed in this weekend. Like I deserve a Nobel Prize. Like I'm not going to like do yoga and meditate because I don't even like doing that as it is.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad because most people don't. I'm going to tell you something else. I don't really like yoga that much either.
You heard it here first.
And I became a yoga teacher, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I felt like it was a life preserver at the time. Like I knew I needed to quit drinking. I didn't know how to do it or what to do. And this yoga just kept sending me signs and signs. And I'm like, I don't even like yoga. And it was like, do it. And I did it. And I learned so much more than the movements of yoga. And I'm going to tell you what, my main takeaway from yoga, and it's what I share all the time, is a 7-minute spinal opening sequence that targets your central nervous system. And when you target your central nervous system, you immediately calm down everything in your body. So back to your point of, I hate yoga and I hate meditating. A lot of people do. I love what you said about that. Binging on Netflix if you want to do it. What is something that you just want to do and you don't really have time for it? You don't do it very often. Do something that makes you happy. That's it.
Yeah.
It brings you joy. And it doesn't matter what it is because nobody's keeping score. And if they are keeping score, fuck them.
Yeah. Like the way I just like tell myself is like, I'm not going out this weekend. I'm not going out for the rest of the month. Like, why not give myself a treat too? And like usually that first weekend I'll go to a comedy show, binge like my favorite show on Netflix. And then by the time like the second sober weekend, the third sober weekend rolls around, I'm like, maybe I will go to the gym. And I feel this kind of natural like inclination towards like journaling and meditating. And it's because like I didn't force myself. Like I just figured I just felt so much better. Like I never go to the gym on the weekends, never. But like when I'm doing my sober months, like I go to the gym because I wake up at like 10:30 feeling amazing, not hungover. I'm like, I guess I might as well go to the gym. And I'm already feeling healthy because I didn't drink that weekend.
And then you're like, look at me going to the gym. And then you stack all those wins on top of each other, even though they're tiny little wins.
Yeah.
You know, you feel good about yourself.
No, yeah. I'm like Kit Keenan. Like, I feel amazing. And I'm like telling people too, I'm like, oh, yeah, you're hungover. Oh, sucks. No, I'm just kidding. I don't do that. I don't judge people. Of course I don't judge, obviously. But there is like a part of me that's like, yeah, I stayed in this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of gratitude that I have, and I, shared with you. I woke up this morning, had a terrible headache, and I was hot flashing, and my first thought was, oh, I'm hungover, and my very next thought was, no, you're not hungover because you're not drinking. Yeah. And I was like, yeah.
It feels like waking up on a Saturday, Sunday morning, like, I'm alive.
And I remember everything.
Like, this is amazing. And then when I like can't remember something, it's good to know that it's not the alcohol. It's like, okay, so I guess I'm just crazy.
I do that all the time. I'm like, whew, and the alcohol. All that time I blame the alcohol. Really, I just have a shitty memory.
Yeah, really, I'm just Crazy.
Pour alcohol on top of your shitty memory and you're screwed.
Okay. One more like advice kind of thought from some other contributor. I really want to live a more sober lifestyle, but I love going out just as much as I love not waking up hungover.
Balance.
Yeah.
Work hard, play hard, and you've got to figure out your balance. I love your dry months, and I think that's really huge. A lot of people won't even entertain 5 days.
Yeah.
So, in that vein, you pick a time frame that works for you, but really and truly, you've got to intentionally be aware of balancing it out. And if you're going to drink, enjoy it.
Yeah, I think so too. And so some tips that I have from doing dry months, I like to pick a month where it's like my social calendar is pretty bleak. Mm-hmm. And usually it's like in December. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, I can't do that because the holidays in my family. Again, my whole family's in AA. Don't have to worry about that. So like picking a month like where you don't really have a lot going on, like summer, I could never do a dry month in the summer. Absolutely not. So I just pick like a chill month, and then I tell people and like set my intentions and like make a commitment. Like I'm a very like, I don't know, when I like say I'm going to do something, like I have to do it, or else I will like throw myself off a cliff. Not really, but telling people, and then you can like try and recruit friends and have them do it with you. But like I didn't ask my best friend and roommate Zoe. I didn't ask her. I didn't ask my boyfriend. I mean, it'd be cool if someone did, but you can't rely on people, because if you rely on them too much and if they slip up, and you'd be surprised how many people slip up. I was in a Facebook group that I'm in for like one of my podcasts, a group of girls. Someone made a post like, I'm doing dry December, who wants to join? So I was in this group chat with these girls that I met online. It was like 8 of us. We would like chat like what we did that weekend, like the mocktails that we make. Every single one of them, except me, slipped. And I'm not counting. I'm not like keeping scores, but like I had in my head, like if I slip, I'm an alcoholic. And that's so like not true, but like I just really had it in my head. Like I made a commitment, like if I can't not drink for a month, like I need to go to AA, like I'm crazy. But then like all those girls did it, and I was like, oh, like that's okay. But I mean, I still kept it, which was cool. But even like when they slipped, like it didn't affect me at all. And then I said this earlier, but planning things over the weekends. I love a good show, a good comedy show, a musical, a play, anything like that. And then like just talking about it really helps, and having like a substitute. I love kombucha. Like I'll go to a house party and just bring kombucha or water. I drink so much water. I'm literally a camel. But that being said, I will be doing dry December. I'm actually doing dry November 27th to December 27th because I want to drink on New Year's. So starting November 27th, I'm doing a dry month. Anyone's welcome to join. I'm thinking we can do like Sunday check-ins, and like I'll share some of the ideas that people did this weekend.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
You want to join? No,
yes, I want to. Well, I want to be the cheerleader.
Okay. Yeah, you don't count. You're like the student that was held back.
I'll be like the room mom.
Yeah. Okay. This is our room mom.
I want to circle back. To say in AA a lot. We're talking to AA keeps getting thrown in here, and I quit. So I was sharing with Lily that I just October 28th celebrated 2 years alcohol free, and I had done another 2.5 years before that, and that 2.5 years I did go through AA, and I really encourage you, if you're considering, I want to stop, I think I might have a problem, and you want to check out AA and you find a good group. There's so much positive about the program, but keep in mind that it is a program, and one of the things that you're trying to do when you're stopping your drinking, you're cutting down, you're quitting, whatever, is you're really kind of trying to deprogram yourself. And so going into another program, you have to have a lot of discernment around that, because I got to I could never say I was an alcoholic. I would say I'm Sarah, and it would catch in my throat.
Like Brie Vandekamp from Desperate Housewives, if anybody remembers that.
And so I came up with I'm Sarah, and I'm gratefully committed to long-term recovery, which to me sounded so open and expansive. And I will tell you honestly, and not to bash, AA if you're in it and it's working for you. I'm not bashing it at all, but for me personally, I got to a point in it where it tipped the scale a little bit, where I felt very judged for not doing it the right way, and it became like almost a cult feeling to me.
Yeah.
To me. So I wanted to address that because there are so many more options available now. There's so many. I was just looking up, when I was looking up, excuse me, the vibration for alcohol, came across a website called Euphoria AF.
I love that show. I'm just kidding.
And it was, alcohol free, sober curious, smart recovery, recovery 2.0.
Yeah.
There are so many paths to do it. And, I welcome anybody that's really struggling or just kind of struggling or curious. If you want to check out my website, I, have been through a lot of different programs, and I've kind of cobbled together my own thing that works. And I think that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
Because if you find things that work for you, you're more willing to stick with it.
Yeah.
Than if you're having a program kind of, programming you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. AA, it just has always seemed like this big scary monster that you go with after you hit rock bottom. And I feel like so many people like who just get sober for whatever reason, just like even if they're not like addicted to alcohol, like it's just like this big scary thing. And even like sobriety doesn't have to be like this, long like lifetime commitment too. It can be like a year on, a year off. Like I don't know, it's all
right. And I agree with that. And you'll discover, if you decide to do your resets in your 30 days, or maybe you go for, like your friend that wrote in, I'm waiting till I feel safe again.
Yeah.
All of that counts.
Yeah.
Every single bit of it counts. And you need to give yourself props for that, because it's really hard. And if you're interested in this and you're thinking about it, you're in like 5% of the population that will actually look at this and do something about it. And that's something to be proud of.
I think you'd be really surprised how many people like can't give up alcohol.
I'm not at all.
I mean, not you specifically.
I'm like, I'm not.
Yeah, no, not you. But people, like, I was really surprised, like, when I did my dry month, when I told people, and, like, I thought that it would be, like, easy enough. I was like, I can do that a month without alcohol. It's almost like I had something to prove. I don't know, like, I got myself in that headspace. Yeah, to myself. And so many people responded like, that's crazy. I could never do that. Mm-hmm. And then the girls that I did it with, like, they all broke their dry Decembers too. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's really tough. And there's two things I want to say about that. The first is, if you take a break and then you go back to drinking, I think one of the most important things to be aware of is, what is your slow fade look like? Like, you start back with, okay, I'm off of my reset, so I'm going to go out and have, 3 drinks. And then you go out and your 3 drinks becomes 5 drinks. And then that slow fade keeps going to where you're back in the same position where you started. And I say that, no shame, no blame ever from me. You'll never get that. I say that to create awareness, because once I was aware of what my slow fade looked like, then I was like, you know what? I think I just am not going to drink.
Yeah.
It's easier for me.
Yeah.
And it has been easier, and I don't miss it.
Yeah.
I've got my ginger beer, and I've got my good people and things to do that bring me joy and happiness, and I'd stick with that.
Yeah. I think for me, graduating college really, really helped. Like, 4 years of college was enough. Like, I loved college. Like, I have no regrets, but like 4 years, honestly, it was like 3.75 because I graduated during COVID. That was like more than enough. And then being post-grad and going out, like, I live with my best friend of 15 years, and I'm finally not long distance with my boyfriend for the first time in 3 years. So I go out with the 2 people. I mostly like go out every night with the 2 people in the world who know me better than anyone. And like, we just have this like unspoken thing. Like, if I go out with just Zoe, she's able to be like, I think we should go. And Jack can kind of be like, I think this should be our last one. And as soon as one of them say that, because I just trust them with my life, I'm like reprogrammed myself to like know when my last drink should be, to like know when, if I have one more drink, I'm going to be hungover. And now I've kind of reached this point, which I never like thought that I would be able to get to. Like, I remember when I first talked to you when I was in college, not the first time we talked ever, but the first time, like when we started talking about like alcohol and I was like, this binge drinking is just out of control. I remember telling you, and I thought this was like the most original like, problem. Like I was like the only one in the world that had this problem. And I'm like, Mom, when I drink, I don't think about being hungover. And you're like, no one thinks about that. And I was like, what? Like, I thought that I was like the worst person in the world. And because I thought like I like everyone else was like, this will be my last one. I'm going to be hungover. Like, because once you get to that like third drink, you don't think about the next day.
Yeah, all bets are off.
Yeah. And now I feel like I've gotten to a point where like before I go out, like when I'm doing my makeup, I'm just like by myself in my room doing my hair. I'm like thinking like, okay, I'm going to have like 2 drinks at the pregame. I'll have 1 drink at dinner. Okay. And I don't care if pre-gaming dinner sounds ridiculous. I'm 25. Like 1 drink at dinner, 3 drinks at the bar. And maybe that sounds like a lot. I don't care. But like over the course of 6 hours for a 25-year-old, that's pretty good. And just like setting myself up for like what I'm going to do when, that's really helped me a lot too. And then one thing that's helped me like not drinking on weeknights, I found that like in like 2020, 2021, like my first year post grad, when it was like still in the height of COVID, I was like drinking a glass of wine like weeknights a lot because like I was able to buy alcohol because I was 22. And I downloaded this app called Dailyo. And every day you would like check off like all the little activities that you did for the day, like drink. And you could like customize them. So I'd say like drank like 3 bottles of water, went on a walk, grocery shopped, and like these little things. And one of the things on there was drank alcohol. And I found that I would get this kind of like rush of like excitement when I didn't check drink alcohol, because at the end of the week on Sundays, it would give you like a rundown. Like you met your water goals like 4 times this week. You met your walking goals like 3 times this week. Like you drank like 3 nights. You drank like 2 nights. You drank 1 night. And I was like, oh, I did do that. And that reprogrammed myself to not drink on weeknights. And now like I don't drink on weeknights because I know that 1 glass of wine will alter my sleep and I'll be in a bad mood in the morning. I don't even buy wine. So I really only drink Fridays and Saturdays.
And so what you're saying too is like that rush feeling, that's a frequency, that's a vibration, right? And and that rush feeling of excitement, that's a high vibration. That dread feeling of, oh my God, I drank 4, that app saying that's a low vibration, right?
Yeah.
So then you have become aware of, this is a low vibration, and that's what that feels like. This is a high vibration, and that's what that feels like. And I like the way the higher one feels better.
Yeah.
So what do I do to get more of that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And there was another point I wanted to circle back to about when you said, I remember the first time we talked about it.
Yeah.
I think that is absolutely crucial to talk about it. Like I stated earlier, we didn't talk at all. We just did. We were on autopilot.
Yeah.
And the fact that you talk about it, I feel like is more of an indication of awareness and heading something off at the pass versus not talking about it because you feel shame.
Yeah.
I think that's a red flag.
Yeah.
When you're not talking about it.
Yeah.
Now, if, your boss, your mentor, whoever is thinking you're worried that they think that you have an alcohol problem because you talk about it, and that's on them.
Yeah.
The most important thing really is to talk and to be aware. The awareness is critical.
Yeah. And just from releasing my first episode, like, and just like very overview talking about my sober month, like I never thought that I would get so many responses on that. And like people came out of the woodwork, like people I haven't talked to in a really long time resonating with that portion. And like the people are asking for help. Like this binge drinking culture, this like society of drinking, like for college age and like 20 somethings, like the kids are not okay.
The kids are not okay. It's so pervasive. And the fact that you can buy Fireball shots at the Chevron station when you're paying for your stuff, I mean, to me, it's almost where it's so everywhere that it's hard to escape it. And that's where I go back to that. You know, if you're really serious about wanting to look into sober curious or alcohol free, you've got to think about changing your playgrounds.
Yeah.
You know, and that goes back to, well, what do I do on a weekend?
Yeah.
You know, and with things that I didn't even know that I enjoyed until I started trying them, or like hiking,
yeah,
and camping, and, you know, biking and shooting the hooch, and, you know, all different kinds of really being outdoor. I really love to connect in nature.
Shooting the hooch is we're not crazy. It's
not a drink.
It sounds like a heroin. Like, I want to shoot the hooch. So there's a river and that runs through Metro Atlanta called the Chattahoochee, and to shoot the hooch is to like go get your floaties and like float down the river. So it's just like shooting the hooch. On that note, we're going to call it for today. So thank you, Mom, for joining us in our intro episode of Sober Curious, and we'll be back for a part 2.